With the rise of UFC over the past 2 decades, a huge part of their success has been their ability to sell fights using professional wrestling tactics. The most popular fighters in the sport often blur the lines between how they really feel and what will sell a fight, all for that sweet pay-per-view revenue. Most prominently, this was seen when Conor McGregor told Khabib Nurmagurmedov that it's just business, shortly after having his face smashed into the ground, suggesting his harsh words pre-fight were a work. Now more than ever, there is an abundance of MMA fighters who would be natural fits for a professional wrestling run, and in today's video, we'll be discussing just that. So join me as we look at 10 MMA fighters who are a perfect fit for professional wrestling. Paige VanZandt made her UFC debut at the age of just 20 years old and quickly impressed both fans and management alike. Since then, she has increased her mainstream popularity, signing sponsorship deals with major brands, modeling, and even participating in Dancing with the Stars. The problem MMA fighters turned pro wrestlers face is a lack of charisma, and in Paige's case, her charisma and looks have already set her apart. She knows how to entertain and how to gain a following, and she has the foundations that suggests that she's a natural for pro wrestling. Due to her affiliation with AEW as of late, it's not too unrealistic to say that we might see her perform sometime in the future. Her teammates are currently feuding against Chris Jericho's Inner Circle, albeit a stable with no female wrestler, meaning we might not see a match immediately, but AEW would be silly not to be considering a full-time deal for the now bare-knuckled boxer. Paddy the Baddy Pimblett has amassed quite a following in the UK at a young age of just 26. He made his UFC debut earlier this year, and a first-round knockout victory only increased the hype that surrounds him. Standing in at 5'10", the babyface Scouser may not seem very imposing, but with a record of 17-3, he is seen as one of the most aggressive and skilled up-and-coming fighters. Paddy has gained a lot of people's attention due to his charisma, even being dubbed the next Conor McGregor due to his ability to promote a fight. He is both a great talker and a skilled mixed martial artist, which makes him the perfect fit for a pro wrestler. For now, it seems the 26-year-old has a bright and long MMA career ahead of him, so it looks unlikely that he will divert his focus to professional wrestling anytime soon, but if he is stopped in his tracks on the rise up the lightweight division, the Owen Hart lookalike could well be a money draw in the squared circle. The current UFC middleweight champion, Israel Adesanya, is ranked number 3 on UFC's pound-for-pound men's rankings, ahead of famous fighters like Jon Jones and Dustin Poirier. With a record of 21-1, he has cemented himself as one of UFC's most dominant fighters. His impressive record, proficiency in combat sports, along with his imposing height of 6'4", makes him any pro wrestling booker's dream signee. The man who calls himself the last style bender has the charisma, talking skills, and personality to entertain a crowd to get a reaction from fans every time he's in the ring. Israel has said in interviews that before he knew MMA was a thing, his dream as a kid was to be a WWE superstar. Having grown up during the Attitude Era, he has a lot of admiration and respect for the industry and has stated that he's open to becoming a pro wrestler when he retires from the sport, meaning that there is a possibility he will take the jump one day. Our second woman on the list is Amanda Nunes, the first and only fighter in UFC who has defended 2 titles while holding them simultaneously. The current bantamweight and featherweight champion has proven herself to be the most dominant and successful female fighter in UFC history, breaking multiple records, and it's no surprise that she's currently ranked number 1 on the UFC's women's pound-for-pound rankings. Due to her imposing physique, toughness, and impressive record, she could be the most dominant woman in any wrestling company's female roster, and one might compare her to a Brock Lesnar, another highly decorated and imposing wrestler. On the topic of professional wrestling, she revealed in an interview that she would be open to having a career in WWE once her time in the octagon was over. She is infamously known as the fighter that sent former WWE superstar Ronda Rousey packing from MMA, meaning there is a built-in storyline there should she make the jump. She has also been seen in the crowd of AEW Dynamite alongside Dan Lambert, meaning it's possible she could become all elite somewhere down the line. With a record of 26 wins and only 1 loss due to disqualification, Jon Jones is amongst UFC's most successful competitors. The 2-time UFC lightweight champion rose to prominence shortly after his debut and became one of the company's most famous fighters. A fight between Jones and Brock Lesnar has always been deemed the biggest dream match in UFC, but unfortunately it never happened. Perhaps a jump to WWE could finally see the two men share a ring together. The only problem is that there's plenty of controversy surrounding him, as he failed multiple drug tests in the past and has been charged with numerous crimes, with this perhaps putting off any potential employers. Given Jon Jones' popularity and dominating physique, they may overlook his past mistakes, or maybe AEW could step in and take a gamble on him. Jones has stated in interviews that a jump to pro wrestling is inevitable, and he does feel like he's accomplished all that he can in UFC, meaning this switch could be closer than you think. And quickly, just before we continue, make sure you drop a like on the video as it helps me out a lot, and make sure you subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss any upcoming wrestling content as we head, hopefully, towards 100,000 subscribers. But now, let's press play on the video. Ranked number 3 in UFC's pound-for-pound women's rankings, Rose Namajunas has made quite an impact since debuting. With a record of 10-4, the current strawweight champion has defeated the division's top fighters, including her most recent challenger Zhang Weili, who she has beat twice at this point. A devout Christian and patriotic American, Rose has the personality of a natural babyface who you struggle not to get behind. Although not one of UFC's most intimidating fighters, she plays the role of an underdog exceptionally well and has overcame insurmountable odds to reach the top of the division. Whilst it's unclear if she has a future in professional wrestling, she would no doubt appeal to wrestling fans and would quickly become one of the most popular in-ring competitors in the world, as she attempts to prove to herself that she's not just the best in the UFC, but in WWE or AEW as well. With a record of 35-15, the 36-year-old Jorge Masvidal has had an illustrious career in MMA. Part of Dan Lambert's American Top Team, he holds the record of the fastest knockout in UFC history at 5 seconds, wiping Ben Askren from the UFC roster. One of the MMA promotion's most recognizable stars, Masvidal is immensely popular and has built a fan base in and out of UFC. A great talker with a large number of devoted fans, coupled with his BMF moniker, he has shown that a potential jump to WWE or even AEW would be effortless, both in terms of in-ring talent and ability to work a crowd. Currently, Jorge's American Top Team colleagues are involved in a feud with the Inner Circle in AEW, with heavy teases that this could end up with him having a singles match with Chris Jericho once his UFC deal expires. Perhaps we could see a third knockout knee on Le Champion, this time scoring himself a first professional wrestling victory. Over the past few years, Colby Covington has made a name for himself and has become one of UFC's most recognizable stars. The former UFC interim welterweight champion has become a divisive figure in the company, with the native Californian being a staunch supporter of former US President Donald Trump, whilst having openly criticized the Black Lives Matter movement, using a divided America to his advantage, with fans either loving or hating him. Colby has differentiated himself from other MMA fighters by incorporating professional wrestling tactics in MMA, essentially playing a heel character, and defines himself as the super villain of the UFC. After his recent fight with Kamaru Usman, there was a hint that his persona is indeed a work, when he told his opponent, "You know I'm trying to sell it for you, get your money bro, it's all love," this despite extremely harsh words pre-fight. Whilst I feel that a switch is inevitable, he actually made his in-ring debut at a WrestlePro show in 2018, following several appearances in Impact Wrestling as part of American Top Team. Colby is a known fan of WWE and even used Kurt Angle's entrance music during his UFC Newark and UFC 268 walkout, and recently stated that he will probably retire at the age of 40 and pursue a career in wrestling, making his full-time switch just a matter of time. Regarded by many as the best pound-for-pound fighter in MMA history, Khabib Nurmagomedov rocked the entire UFC world before his retirement earlier this year. With an undefeated record of 29-0, the longest reigning UFC lightweight champion in history has gained a massive following around the world, with more than 31 million followers on Instagram, being the most popular Russian on the platform. Not only that, but his infamous clash with Conor McGregor is the highest grossing pay-per-view in UFC history, and his victory victory over the Irishman further increased his popularity and led to the downfall of the once dominant star. After he retired following the death of his father and trainer, many speculated about what lay next for the 33-year-old. Whilst he has pursued interests outside of fighting, he has turned down any advances from WWE regarding a move, but many feel a switch is possible somewhere down the line, with Khabib seemingly a perfect candidate to be the next Paul Heyman guy. Without a doubt, the most famous fighter in UFC history is Conor McGregor, having carried the UFC to unseen heights during the peak of his popularity. He has headlined all 5 of the company's top 5 highest selling pay-per-views and is one of the wealthiest athletes in the world, and is also the first ever double champion in UFC history. The biggest factor in Conor's success is his ability to talk people into a building or to buy any event that he is fighting on. He is unmatched in trash talking, with the success of the aforementioned Khabib versus Conor fight largely due to Conor's ability to get people talking to find out what happens inside the octagon. It should also be said that McGregor is seemingly a wrestling fan, having expressed his respect for the likes of Vince McMahon, Ric Flair, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And whether it be WWE or even AEW, if McGregor were to make the switch, he could be the catalyst to a new mainstream era of professional wrestling, lighting a fire under any promotion that he chooses. And before you go, make sure you check out my video where I discuss the secret wrestling returns of CM Punk before he showed up in AEW.